See, when I talked about that it's not just one ignorance, but it is what series of ignorance that we are dealing with. And we can keep going up. So this Videsh used one example which is very nice. I like it. He used an analogy of a pole. Yeah? So pole, and you need to, it's an analogy, obviously it's not 100%, but it is very interesting. What he said is, you need to reach there, and you need to use the pole.
Pole vaulting.
Yeah.
Sports that they do.
Yeah, pole vaulting. So that what do? You use the pole to reach where?
To cross the
vault over.
Yeah, to vault over. But once you do that, what happens to the
Let
pole?
from the pole.
Really? So that means you need all these series of alignments and series of removal of ignorance. But ultimately, what do you discover? What is really the reality of the world? There is no second thing in this universe. There is no second thing in the universe. Because as we saw the very first verse, what is it? That all that is here is Isha. Ishavasya idam sarvam. So that means ultimately the thing is what? It's very interesting. The whole Upanishad is told, and after having told the whole Upanishad, there is one. The teacher says, now I have taught everything to you. Now tell me, where is the teacher? Where is the student? Where is the world?
All around the reds.
And where is the teaching? The whole thing is what? A play on one awareness. So that means on one awareness. So it is like you go to a movie screen. You go to see a movie. When you go to see a movie, there is what? There is a movie screen. What is the movie screen? It's just a white screen. Now, when you see the movie, who do you see? You see Shah Rukh Khan, you see Aishwarya Rai, you see trees, you see mountains, you see them running around like how they showed. You see one whole big show. And while you are watching it, what happens? If Shah Rukh Khan is in trouble, you feel what? Sad. Or then you get excited.
Emotional.
All kinds, it evokes all kind of responses in you. In reality, what is there? That you see the show, it is so impactful. I once went to Chennai and we went to see Rajnikant. Rajnikant is supposed to be like a superstar in Tamil cinema. And what is very interesting, even now, like we went only a few years ago, and I had never seen anything like it. So when Rajnikant is in trouble, the whole audience gets so identified with it, they literally stand up and they literally kind of, hey, the other person who's putting him in trouble, they shout against him and everything. People get totally involved. And we were so surprised. And when he's able to overcome the enemy, people are like clapping and we never see anything like this in Bombay when we go and see the movies. It was such a show. The more enjoyable than the movie was the people and their relationship with the movie. So while all these different things are going on and we are so identified with it, what is the reality? Tell me.
The screen is
The screen is always white. Free of. And there is no real Rajnikant running around. It's only what? Play of lights.
projection.
It's play of lights which what gives what this whole big drama. And then what you can if somebody tells you that this is all this drama that you see, actually in reality the whole drama cannot exist without what? This white screen. And also this drama itself is Vidya in the sense that it is just play of lights. You'll never believe it because it is seeming so real to you and it is impacting you so much. So, but that happens to be the reality. So that means that until you see until you see this reality, does it mean that the drama has to be ending? No.
Is the drama already fully there in the box where the film is there?
Exactly. So drama is in making. Wonderful. Xavier's this thing is good. The drama is in making. The real world drama is in making. And because when you see the reality, does it mean that you don't participate in the drama? You still participate. But with what? Freedom. What gives you that freedom? The knowledge. So you participate in the whole drama. You try to what? Be the hero. If there are challenges, you try to overcome that. But with the knowledge that what?
I'm free.
Yeah, I'm free. Then it makes it what? Overwhelming. In fact, you can participate much more when you are not overwhelmed by it. So this is what the final knowledge does to you. It doesn't mean, see, the very important thing is when a wave recognizes that there is wave, where there is wave, there is also ocean, and where there is ocean, there is also water. They are all three realities. The waveness, does it disappear? No. The waveness doesn't disappear, but the wave gets a perspective which is what? Of the ocean and the water, which the wave did not have before. If the wave operated only as wave, what will happen? Too overwhelming. But if the wave understands that there are many waves, but there is one ocean, and there is one water, the whole perspective changes. And what you then can do as a wave is out of freedom. So that means you add two more levels of reality when you act in the universe. That's what gives you the cognitive distance to deal with whatever has to be done, without being what? Totally drowned in it. So therefore, this is the knowledge. And anybody who doesn't have that knowledge operates only as what? The wave. Only as a wave, and wave can what? Through the efforts and all, it can become bigger, it can move from Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, all that is a possibility. But it still remains what? Wave. So that means here, what is the highest that it can do as a wave that is taken? And that is seen as still ignorance. Because generally what you can do highest as wave, for us it is exalted. But from the standpoint of the final reality, if you don't have sight of the final reality, it is still what? Ignorance. So they take two examples. One is that of a person who does very good actions, good human being, but still has what? Ignorance. A person who is connected to Ishvara, another level of what? Addition in the vision of the person, but still there is ignorance. So the last two are taken, and generally they seem to be such a high thing that is shown as what? Ignorance. So that's why when you read the verse, it seems like, what is this verse? You know, what this verse is talking about is Andattamaha pravishanti ye sambhuti upasate tataha bhuya iva te tamaha yao sambhutyam prataha. Okay, so any level of engagement that you have in the world, even though it is highly noble, and if your connection with Ishvara is there and you incorporate the presence of Ishvara, Ishvara is the intelligence in your doing, but if you haven't finally understood what that equation which shows what you and Ishvara being one, then you are still operating from what? Darkness of ignorance. Now, before one gets to the final ignorance, in addition to relation, I want to do this because it is important. The relationship with Ishvara can be entered at so many different levels. It starts with what Faye was talking about is our normal understanding of what something higher, which is what governing the universe. That's how our normal understanding is. And whenever I'm actively thinking about it, then it is there. Otherwise, I'm doing other things. From there, it has to graduate to what? That everything that I do, every action that I take, it is within what? That Ishvara's order. Everything, my capacities I have not created. The world in which I am engaging, I have not created.
Everything is given.
All the possibilities that I call collapse are also not created by me. Everything is given. So if everything is given and if it is an intelligent design, then there must be what? An intelligence which is governing not only my body, the body of everything else, the sun, the moon, the stars, galaxies, everything. So that means that, and that intelligence organizes the universe in form of many, many different laws. What are the laws? We saw laws of physics, laws of biology, laws of chemistry, laws of physiology, laws of psychology. To these laws, we add two more laws. What are the laws? Law of dharma and law of karma.
Law of karma, eh?
Law of dharma. Dharma. Dharma is the ethics and everything. So now, what I do, when I'm doing that, what am I doing? I'm aligning to the presence of Ishvara. So that means in my definition of relationship to Ishvara, I have moved from what? Only prayer to what? Anything that I do, it is what? Within Ishvara's order. I can't bypass Ishvara's order. Then, the other way that I can understand or incorporate the presence of Ishvara is through very better understanding of what the prayers are. What are you accomplishing through prayers? See, any thinking person will ask this question. Why do you pray? So then you say that, through prayer, what are you trying to do? You are trying to influence the result in your favor. That's what. Yeah? Whether it is a prayer for the world's well-being or it is for your own self, what are you doing? You are just trying to influence the outcome. Now, any thinking person will ask you that they may say that imagine that there is, let's say, one promotion, and now, now forget about promotion, now US elections are coming very close. So now imagine, you can say what Hillary Clinton is praying for what? Her to be the president. And Donald Trump is also praying for the same. How many people can become president?
One.
Only one. So if only one, that means only one's prayer will be answered. The other prayer will not be answered. So in which case, who decides which prayer is to be answered? So why? Is Ishvara partial or what?
No, because it depends on what
Choices.
Hillary has done, all her efforts,
Law of
what her
karma.
attitude, everything she's gone by the Shiva.
Absolutely. So that means prayer, please understand, as the phrase says, is not the only deciding factor. What are the other deciding factors?
The efforts,
The efforts,
the attitude,
the attitude, the resources, all that goes in. But in addition to that, there is one more variable, which is what? After having done all of that,
Law of karma.
there is always what? Unknown variables which kick in.
Which area?
And unknown variables. Unknown variables means you have really no control because you don't even know what they are. So when you don't know what they are, you can't do anything to take care of them. So if you don't know what to do, then you feel helpless. Prayer is an action which is what? Meant for what? The unknown variables. And when you feel helpless, you have to convert that into what? Proactiveness. And the only way you can convert your helplessness to proactive action is through a prayer. There is no other way. Because in the equation, in addition to all your known variables, there are always unknown variables. Always. So that means when you do prayers like that, then there is no prayer which is what? Not answered. Because that one act of prayer will always change the outcome. Whether it changes exactly according to your wishes or not, you don't know. Because why? Because there are so many other things also involved, other variables. But it will always change.
Always better result.
Always better result.
It's like for a farmer, he's putting all the work
Yes.
in the field,
Yes.
putting the seed, and finally there's no rain, hidden variables. So he prays.
Exactly. So that means this is how one works. We can't predict how the life is going to be. It is true. Nobody can. Anybody who claims to predict it doesn't know. So therefore, the prayers you include in that sense. In which case, you never conclude. Otherwise, what happens? If you want something and then that happens, then you think what? That prayers are answered. And when it doesn't happen, you conclude what?
God is unfair.
Exactly. So one has to change. By adding one more variable, you are always changing outcomes. Whether the outcomes change according to your wishes or not, but you are always moving towards one variable. So it is almost like mathematics. You say 1 plus 1, it becomes 2. Now if you add plus 1, will it remain 2?
No.
No. Because what have you done? You added 1 more. It will become 3. It has to be different from when it was not added. It's almost mathematics. So therefore, this is the way one begins to relate to Ishvara. Ask for help. The fourth way, which is mentioned here, of relating to Ishvara is through Upasana. So I'm so happy because Surya, there are different types of Upasanas. They are all Vedic. Different methods of relating to Ishvara. And today morning, as Surya, what did he make? That is one type of Upasana. What did he make us do?
Invoke what do you say? Sorry, can't get the chakras.
Invoke the different forces of the universe in what different parts of our body.
Yeah.
So he started by, what did you start by, Surya? Heart. And in heart, which force of the universe he invoked?
Creator.
The Creator. So that means what is out there is also
In here.
in here. Then in the head, what did you invoke, Surya? Vishnu. Vishnu. Vishnu is, as I had explained earlier, the stability, the seeming constants. So that means that's happening out there, very far away in galaxy, and it's also happening what even you are being sustained. Then where did you move? Here
Behind.
to Shikha. Yeah, and there he invoked what? Rudra. So that means there is a destructive force in the universe, which is what he said, the stars are about colliding and destroying each other to produce that iron that we want in our hemoglobin. My God, what an arrangement. So that destruction which is there, and even in my body, what constantly the cells are getting destroyed, many things are going away. So all that is what? It's also here. Don't think it's only there, it's also here. Then, where did you go? This.
Embrace.
Then to this huge plate, which is constantly what? Creating, sustaining and transforming. You're asking for what? Protection. Hey, those forces who are residing in me, please what? Protect. Upasanas. These are upasanas. Then, and now the protection ultimately for what? The protection is ultimately for what? The third eye stands for what? The two eyes we see normal. Everybody can see what they see. Third eye means is an eye of wisdom. You see more than what your two eyes can see. So you want all these forces and you want all this protection to ultimately what? See
Wisdom.
totally what is. Don't stop what in between. Not partially see, but to see totally. So that means this is what we call upasana. Upasana is, the upasanas are other way of relating to Ishvara.
These are 8 siddhas.
Sorry?
8 siddhas.
No, that is
That's
later.
it.
I want to, then I will come to that.
No, I just want to know what.
Yes, the previous verse. So now, then there is another type of upasana. What is the other type of upasana? So what they do is, let's say, you take Shivalinga. In that Shivalinga, what is that? Just one stone. It's nothing. What is this one stone? It's just pick up one stone and like that, and then what? But it has representation. In that stone, which is actually so insignificant, what is the representation? The representation is that if you were to show that there is one reality which includes all the forms, but itself is formless, this is a representation. It contains all the forms and at the same time it is formless. Representation. So that means now that stone which was nothing has become what?
Very significant.
A very significant representation of the reality. So this is why we are going to go and see Shiva temple this evening. So that means that this is another upasana. If you don't understand Shivalinga and if you just go and pray to and you don't know him, somebody tells you that, hey, why are you praying to the stone? And you have no answer. And then what? this is why, see, when the British did not understand our culture, they called it what? Idol worship. Idol worship means what? You're worshipping what? Something which is like a stone, and you are deluded and you start worshipping it. And we bought that picture. When they made fun of us, we thought we are stupid.
Can I add one thing?
Tell us that significance.
So, yeah. Yeah, that I will tell. So, one second.
Just one thing I
Yeah.
can add here is that it is loading some meaning to a normal object. And then it acquires some symbolic or some like force or some sacred power. And it's very common outside even this field. When you are going the Independence Day and you are raising the flag of your country, and it is invoking what? It's a piece of cloth. It's a piece of cloth with some colors which are evoking you what? Your country. Whatever country it is. So you are loading on this piece of cloth some meaning. And when you relate and when this cloth with the hymn and so on of your nation is sung, it is evoking something in you. Right? Even this Muslim, when they go to Kaaba also, they say, no, it is formless, you are not supposed to adore and worship any form. They have a form. They have also a square which is a black square. And then on one of these corners you have a stone. The Christian, do they have any forms? They are in front, they are praying in front of what? You can say, two pieces of wood which are in the form of a cross. What is this? You see, so it's not like something which is peculiar here to this tradition. It's found everywhere.
So now, okay, now this I wanted to say that, yeah. So the last one that he did, yeah. So the last one which he did is, you know, you want to see something more, and you can only move on linearly, because our mind is limited. So you can only want somehow take care of some ignorance here, take care of some other ignorance here, take care of some other ignorance here. And what do you need to do is to shift from what vision of limited to limitless. So that means that shift is a quantum jump. It requires clicks, several clicks. Nobody can predict when that click is going to happen. What do you have to do? Wonderful. So for Videsh, the whole job is done. All the clicks are over.
You're retired.
Now he's retired. Now his next retreat is his.
We do it in Dubai.
We'll do it in Dubai. And he'll invite us all.
Inshallah.
I'll be on a holiday.
Yes. We'll all come with you. So then it requires a click.
And then
This is that, yeah. The
You start
whole
clicking.
thing
Jump,
is
jump,
the
jump.
whole thing has to, you have to get it. Each part, and whole thing you have to put it together. And then it's one click. So therefore, these are all different ways of doing upasanas. Different symbolism to deal or bring Ishvara in our life.
What does exactly mean Upasana?
Upasana, these are all methods. These are all methods.
Tools.
These are all tools. They are all tools, because otherwise what will happen is, Ishvara is all intelligence, and therefore it is all intelligence. We remain as what? Very superficial level. We keep on repeating the same thing, Ishvara is all intelligence, but we don't understand what it means.
But going back, I didn't understand, going back on what you stupid but very important action in America. You say, okay, that doesn't matter, but to say who wins, it will depend also on, in a certain way, of law of karmas, right? The cause and effect of what happened in the past.
See, also, but the thing is, it only does not depend upon their karma. It also depends upon, to a certain extent, the world karma. Because see, people are going to participate also. See, the thing is, each one, on the day of the election, they will have to go and vote. They are doing what? They are exercising their free will. They are participating. It's not like only his karma will decide. You see what I mean? Because people's karmas are intimately connected to his karma also. So it's not like it's all decided already. It's not. So that means people will have to go and use their free will, and they will use their free will depending upon what they understand and what their values are. So that's how we create not only individual karmas, we create what collective karmas. Chain of karmas. And depending upon what those Americans decide, the whole world is going to be affected. But we can't participate in the process unless we are Americans. But we are going to be affected. This is what we say, it's a complex web.
I'm just asking a very crazy question. Does Ishvara know the result?
No, not yet, because it is in making. See, the thing is, it's in making.
Ishvara knows everything.
No, not it. Ishvara is not a fixed entity which knows everything in the fixed universe. In fact, it's moving. It's
moving,
constantly
Ishvara with both, with our brains, what else?
So that is why when we do upasana of prayer, we can still change the result.
Yeah, exactly.
That is why.
Because otherwise
it's not fixed.
exactly. If nothing is exactly, so that means you are using the forces for what? To take you in the right direction. If everything was fixed, you don't have to do anything. So that means this is a possibility that is given to you, and you need to collapse that possibility through your actions.
Just one small question. They said prayer is an action. Now we are going to temple, we are going to pray.
Yeah.
I never understood that prayer is an action.
It
and
is
it
an
has
action.
got a result. How does it work?
See, because the prayer means you have to, let's say there are 3 types of prayers. Prayer is, by definition, what does it mean? That you are connecting to what? Ishvara. Ishvara, the intelligence. Now, how will you connect to intelligence? Tell me. How?
Make an effort to do it.
So either it will be what? A mental prayer, or it will be what? A spoken prayer, or it will be what? It will be a physical prayer. The puja action. Yeah. But now you have to, when you begin to expand the meaning of Ishvara, then what will happen? When I do something good to you, I am what? Living a prayerful life. Because you are not excluded from Ishvara. Relating to Ishvara.
Say it again, last sentence.
See, when we first relate to Ishvara, Ishvara is what? An entity which is away from me. Later on we understand Ishvara pervades everything. So when I am helping somebody, I am living what? I am relating to Ishvara. I am living a prayerful life. So from an act of prayer, you have to evolve to what? Whole life has to become prayerful.
Like the devotee thing we discussed.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing is what? In every role that you are playing, you have to bring in what? Your relationship with the total.
Individual to total.
Yeah. Because every individual is equally part of that total. And every interaction, you are pervaded by the total, and that person is also pervaded by the total. So that means this is how, these are shifts.
very interesting.
These are shifts which are very, very profound shifts. They will change the way we look at things. They change the way we do things. And then this upasana, which is what looking at, looking at your own body. So the first type of upasana is what? Looking at your own body and then seeing what different parts of the body are what pervaded by that intelligence. Which aspects we just mentioned, all the different aspects. Then we look at any given object, which is what? The stone. And then what do? We do the same. Onto it we add symbolism. We say this is a representation of what? Something having all the forms, but itself is formless. This is how you begin to bring in awareness of that presence in everything that you do. The third way is what? First I did in my form, the entire presence of intelligence, then in one form, the entire intelligence. The third way that you can do is what? In interaction with every form, you can bring in what? The presence. All these are upasanas. Like I said yesterday, devotee is common in every role played.
Ishvara and the awareness. We bring in Ishvara and
these are upasanas. Sorry, 1 minute. So what I am saying is these are all upasanas. These are all upasanas. So that means upasanas are different ways of what? Dealing with Ishvara. Yes? Now, what in this verse it says is, if you stop there, it is still what? If you don't bring in awareness, it is still what? Ignorance. Exactly.
Darkness.
It is
Darkness.
It is still darkness. This is why it is said that even in upasana, if you don't bring in the final part, it is still darkness. So I am so happy Rashna said that you need to bring awareness, then only it is complete. Otherwise, it still remains partial. That's why. Otherwise, you say, how come upasana is a darkness? That's why. So, this is the verse 12, which says, Andam tamaha pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tataha bhuya iva te tamo yau sambhutyam prata. So he talks about all these different upasanas. If you don't bring in the final reality, you are still operating within ignorance. Yeah. Now, the next is verse 13. It says, Anya eva ahuhu sambhavat anya eva ahuhu asambhavat iti shushruma dhiranam ye naha tat vichakshire. Okay. Now, here it talks about that the people talk of having different powers. Now, as you begin to be, as I told you last time, that as you begin to be prayerful, as first you need to be aware of the presence, which is what the intelligence. Secondly, you need to use your free will and connect to that presence in all these different ways. The more you do that, and the more you invoke, enter into relationship with Ishvara, more. That day, Roberto was asking the question about intuition. That intuition means what? Either it can be your own past experiences which is giving you some information about the situation, or it can be what? Something that you are drawing from what? That bigger knowledge that is running the universe. So that is what we call powers. Because then you have access little bit more than a usual human being, right? If you begin to, with your own free will, enter into connection and you yourself ask, and if you begin to be sattvic, what happens is what? Your capacity to connect and access will become more. That itself can become a catch. Powers, we think, are what? The person who has a little bit more power can get arrogance. Can use that power, the very power, to what? Exploit people. So that means, on one hand, you begin to have more powers, but on the other hand, you have to very consciously what? You really very consciously, that should not become your goal. Because that if that becomes your goal, then again it will what? It will take you away from the final thing. So that means this relationship with power is huge. In fact, it's we human beings, we operate in a way that if anybody can do little bit unusual, we get what? Attracted. And especially if that person is wearing a whole external spiritual kind of a garb, then what happens? We think even more.
But it could be positive also.
It could be positive also. Lovely. So that means how do you keep it? Exactly.
For instance, the tribes
Absolutely.
In North America or even in Brazil, the shaman,
they have powers.
medical
Absolutely.
power, they have incredible power.
Exactly.
They
True. So that means the power itself is one thing. It's so true, right? Power itself, you cannot say it is categorically bad or good. It really depends upon what, how you use it.
Shaman is almost positive.
Yes. But who knows? Somebody, sometimes all these voodoo, I don't know what can go on. We don't know. We would like to hear from you. So, we don't know. Because see, there can always be one person who could be abusing it. In general, even if people are, because it's all very individual. You can't make a generalized statement that people only abuse it or people only use it well. Because it is personal choice that people make. And also sometimes they are driven to certain choices without even their understanding. But one thing is very important is whether you are using it for a good purpose or bad, inappropriately. One thing is you have to keep in mind that that power does not take you away from what? Your final goal, which is what? Not only to use power to help people, but to know the final reality. So these are all we are talking about very exalted people, but they can also what? Go on a tangent. These are all the things.
India has got too many people, like we have a billion people. And somebody does some miracle, there is a follower. Blind follower.
So that means we have few stories with reference to in our culture to give you proper perspective with reference to what power. So they are life stories. The first story is that there was a king, and the king, he was very kind of fascinated. He wanted, like most of us wanted to become wealthy. So he got a boon so he asked for a boon, and the boon was whatever he touches will become gold. Then what happened is, he touched his table, it became gold. He was thrilled. Then he had a kind of a plate to eat, and he touched it and it became what? Gold. He was even more thrilled. But then there was food there. When he touched the food, that also became gold. Is it good?
No.
No. Then he says, oh my God, this food is also become gold. So the very thing with which he was so excited became what? A burden.
Curse.
A curse. Then his daughter came running. These are kid stories. Then when the daughter came and she came running and she hugged him, she became gold. He started crying. So that means, what is the moral of the story? Something which seems so attractive initially, upon a deeper examination, it turns out to be what? Actually a curse. So that means your relationship with power has to be what? He was wanting that power to make everything gold. And he was so excited, but that same power became what? A curse. The second story is, here it became a what? Curse. The second story is that of a boatman. There was a man who was fascinated. One day he went to the river and he saw one man walking on the water. So he was totally fascinated. He said, "Oh my God, he's walking on water and this is so unusual." So he went to this man and he said, "Can you be my guru and can you teach me how to walk on the water?" And he says, "It will take you 5 years to learn this." So he says, yeah, it doesn't matter, 5 years. So he learned, he was very, very, very rigorous and he learned it for 5 years. Then he wanted to he started walking and he was thrilled. Then he had an attitude. So once there was a boatman and he said, "You know what, I can walk on the water." So the boatman said, "Oh really?" So then he says, "Yeah, I can show you that." So what he did is, he was walking on the water. He thought the boatman will be what? Very impressed. The boatman looked at him and he didn't seem to be that impressed. So then the man said, "What? I can do all this and you just still have to rely on the boat and everything, and are you not impressed?" The boatman said, "How long did it take for you to learn this?"
5 years, a waste of time.
Exactly. He says, "It took me 5 hard years to learn this." The boatman said, "You wasted 5 years of your life trying to walk on the water. I can easily take my boat and go across. What's the big deal?" So sometimes all these powers, from our little buddhi, it seems like what? Something extraordinary. But in the totality of things, what it is, it's nothing. So that means, even in Yoga Shastra, they talk about different symbols. It's like techniques. If you keep on, it's actually following what? The laws of evolution. He says, if the intelligence moves towards what? The eagles being able to see more. If you keep on practicing one thing, you will get better. You go to a gym, every day you do this, your muscle will get strong. No big deal. If it goes a little bit out of the range, we feel what? It's so impressive. Yeah, you're just increasing some powers, but what are those powers compared to what? The whole universe, Ishvara, which is what? From where every moment comes, unto which the moment goes away, by which every moment is sustained for billions of years. What is this little walking on the water? It's nothing. But for us, with our vision, it becomes big. And we all flock around people who can show us some little powers. So therefore, this is what it says. Or even your own life pursuit becomes what? Pursuit of power. The more the upasanas can give you what? A lot of connection, and because of that certain access which is otherwise not possible. But if you don't have the perspective, that very thing could be what? The cause of your going on a tangent. So therefore, this is what the last thing that which is what again taking you.
Just one question.
Yes.
What is Hiranya?
Hiranyagarbha. Okay. Hiranyagarbha is when you look at in Mandukya Upanishad, this prakriya is used. What is done is the whole universe, you want to see it as what? Ishvara. So there is another method which is given. The method that is given is the whole universe means what? It is divided in three things. One is your physical body. Yeah? So your physical body is what? One body, and that is called Vishwa. And you are part of what? Entire physical world. So your physical body is called Vishwa, and the entire physical world is called what? Virat. And both are what? Ishvara. Both are Ishvara. Then, in addition to physical, there is what? Subtle in the universe. So your subtle body is called Tejasa, and the entire subtle in the universe is called Hiranyagarbha. And then there is your causal body, which is called Prajna, and the entire causal is, here it is called Ishvara, but Ishvara includes everything. Ishvara includes Virat, it includes Hiranyagarbha, and it includes what? Vishwa, Tejasa and Prajna. Everything is Ishvara. So looking at Ishvara, the intelligence from a different perspective. So that means this is what he says. Here he says, Asambhutim cha vinasham cha yaha tetat upayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva asambhutam amrutam akshmate. Okay, so the person, okay, the last verse I will do now, then tomorrow we'll do the other three. The person who uses everything correctly and doesn't go on a tangent by anything, that is the person who is able to what? See the vision. You have to start what? Being a good human being. That is the starting point. Bring dharma in your life. Then what? Dharma means ethics in your life. What is the second stage? You become what? Little larger in your goals. Goal setting. Include well-being of others. Then the third thing is what? Also take care of not just the goal setting, but our emotional growth. Because what happens is, the higher goal that you have, when they don't get reached, it invokes emotions. So that means your emotions. Then you need to bring in what? The whole thing, you need to bring in what? The presence of the intelligence within which you work. Then the relationship, that intelligence can be of many different forms, prayers, upasanas, all that you need to do. All of them create what? An expansion in you. An expansion at a different level. Your connection with a very big what? Aspect of the universe, a very big order of the universe. That expansion is not just an expansion about with people on this earth. It's a very, very big expansion.
Everything is included.
Everything is included in that. And when you have become that big with your own efforts and your own awareness, then what will happen? You then will have that vision of oneness. Then Ishvara's final teaching to you, that you and me are one will dawn on you. So this is what we call the culmination of what? Growth. Culmination of growth, according to the vision of Vedas, is your knowing your identity with Ishvara.
So I can ask one question. You've given us 5 points how to gradually go up.
Yes.
First is be a good but dharmic person. The second one was what?
The second one was like your goals have to be a little bit bigger than, extended. Exactly.
So this is basically to explain how to evolve for a human being.
Absolutely.
The whole process.
Absolutely. So that means there are so many people who want to change the world. Where will you put them? Tell me.
I want to change myself.
Yeah. You are wonderful, Viresh. Okay. No, but where is it?
Sorry, what's the question? No, because it's very, very important to understand the question.
Yeah, certainly, that's right.
Can you please repeat?
The question is that those, that from first dharma. Dharma means what? I don't do anything wrong to anybody else. That is the first stage. This is very basic.
But dharma doesn't mean you right action.
That means you do right
You live
action.
with right action.
Yeah, that's true, Viresh. But that, sometimes you can define dharma in a very narrow sense also. You can say that I'm not doing anything wrong to anybody, so therefore I'm dharmic. What is the second level of evolution? You increase your goals. It's not like I'm not doing anything wrong to anybody, but I want to participate in others' well-being. That is another goal. So that means that is second level. Then the third, you want to participate in others' well-being, but you are constantly complaining. That means you still haven't taken care of what? The emotions. So that means not only you want to participate in others' well-being, but you are what? Taking care of your emotional responses. That is very important. So that is what? That is going even higher. Then what? The whole thing, if you just keep on operating from emotional maturity, then what? The well-being for others and just being a good human being, you still miss what? Ishvara. You still miss the understanding of the design within which you are working. So then what happens? You need to first bring in understanding of the design. Then after bringing in the understanding of design, you have to actively engage with Ishvara through what? Prayers, upasanas and all. Where there is what? You have to move away from your understanding of Ishvara as just some force, some bigger being, to what? That presence which pervades everything. You need to, because that is true, the billions of cells in your body, you are not sitting and putting them in place. There is an intelligence which is putting that in place. There is an intelligence which is what? Making your neurons tick and giving you the possibility of the thinking range that you are in. So that means you have to look at that intelligence as all-pervading and use your free will to engage with that intelligence in form of prayers, in form of everything has to become what? An expression of what? Ishvara. Prayer. Prayerful life. Different kinds of upasanas. Any given form is, you use it to remind you of the presence of intelligence. In your own body, you invoke that presence of intelligence. Every interaction you see as what? Part of that design. That means you have really become what? Really your mental infrastructure is expanding and expanding. expanding and expanding. And finally, what happens is, then you see this, then Ishvara blesses you with one more knowledge, and that is what you and Ishvara are. So that means all this you have to do. The vision of oneness is not a small thing. It requires expansion and expansion and expansion and expansion at different levels. And you can't hurry up, because what happens, you try to hurry up. It is like the two examples I've given. That our teaching itself gives examples. It says, you plant a seed and then you want the tree to be tomorrow. That will not happen. You plant a seed, you have to be patient. So the world, the universe teaches you to be patient. How long will you have to wait till the tree grows? Tell me.
Months, many years.
How many years it takes from the seed to a full tree?
Depends on the seed.
Huh?
Depends on the seed.
Depends on the seed.
Years together.
But at least there is a time lag. So therefore, there is a time lag. You can't do anything about it. You can inject and you can do all kinds of interference. And what will the laws do?
Work against it.
This is what we do. We are in a hurry, so we inject all these chickens and we invert the eggs, and I don't know what, I have no idea what people do, but all kinds of things.
So instead of that, we could be watching the old trees and listen to them.
Oh, look at this.
I think we are connected now.
Now we are all connected. So that, and the second thing is, from a child in the womb, she just, how many months did you have to wait? Everybody has to wait.
To
9 months.
what?
To have a baby.
9 months.
9 months. Which is, everybody has to, whoever.
Not everybody, not me.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
No, but you also have to wait for the child to be born. No, not in your home.
The ladies has to wait.
No, but even you have to wait.
Delegated.
So that
You're part of that.
You are part of that.
In this design, I have to request God only one thing, you know.
Don't tell them.
When they made woman, they should have given the shaving also to them. Too much of identity.
What is it?
Shall listen to this, they'll kill me.
So now, so that means this, you have to wait means you have to wait. It's part of the design. Same thing. People, I have some people who are Westerners, and those Westerners, they are very much in a hurry. So they want, so every retreat, they want what? Now, where have I moved from this point to this point? So they want every, yeah, absolutely.
10% to 70%.
They won't connect
Exactly.
immediately with God and finish.
So that means this knowledge is so vast, it is so multifaceted, it is so all-encompassing. To get each aspect right and to see its connection with everything else and to bring about changes in our life is not a small thing. Not a small thing. If you make it small, that means you don't have infrastructure to see the bigness of this vision. The implications of this vision, they're just huge. So therefore, that is, it takes time. You say, oh, I have been studying for, I don't know how many years today, 30 years, 40 years, I don't know, 86. Yeah, 30 years. Now, what is really, and so many others who studied with me, they've studied for 30 years, 40 years. But if you really think about it, for how many, if you think about this reincarnation, for how many lives we have lived with this vision that I'm only a small entity. This is a programming, that's the smallness is a programming of how many years? Billions of years. What is 30 years?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's really nothing. The thing is, we all could have also pursued in our previous lives, in which case, what maybe it is now 200 years. Who knows? Who knows? But you don't worry about when will I get it. You have to concentrate on what? This growth. Because until this growth happens, it will not happen.
And once you have a goal, it gives direction also.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Once you have a goal, you have a goal and you keep going. And you keep going. So, and you will get there. Everybody will get there. Anybody who tries will get there. So I will end the thing with the one final story of our teacher. The final story is that there is a man in Rishikesh and he wants to go to Badrinath. And the Badrinath from Rishikesh is what?
7 days.
7 days. And it is what? 11,000 or 12,000 feet above the sea level. And Rishikesh is the plain. So if you think about going, and those days there was nothing, you just had to walk. When you think about going from Rishikesh to Badri, it seems like what? A hard, tedious journey. And who knows whether you'll ever get there or not. But if you only keep on thinking and saying it's difficult, it is so much, and it is so far, will I ever get there? What will happen?
Don't even try.
You will just burden and you don't even try. So what you do, you start walking. When you start walking, what do? You walk. But when you walk, is it like, oh, this? No. You begin to enjoy what? The Ganga. You begin to enjoy the trees. You begin to enjoy the forest. The whole journey is enjoyable.
from the beginning it's enjoyable.
From the beginning it is enjoyable and it culminates then what ultimately you reach Badri and what? You're there.
People walk there.
Then what? So the same thing with your spiritual pursuit. From limited to limitless seems what? Crazy. Seems crazy. From finite to infinity. It seems mad. But you start with what? Looking into it. See what the realities change. The whole thing becomes what? Pleasurable. Every time you shed any ignorance at any level, it gives you so much release. And your life becomes so much lighter. And your life becomes so much more cheerful. And you just, it's all just, the whole journey is that of shedding ignorance at different levels. Because the reality of you is already there. You're not producing anything. So that means this is the journey. The more you shed ignorance, the more what you are in connection with realities. Ultimately, you are totally in connection.